Welcome back to Everyday English. Today, we're diving into morning routine everyday topic, but one packed with useful English expressions. Sarah, why is learning about daily routines so important for beginners?
Great question, Alex. Daily routines involve common verbs and grammar structures, like the present simple tense. When learners talk about their mornings, they're not just memorizing vocabulary, they're practicing real-life communication.
Exactly. Starting with familiar events helps reduce anxiety and builds confidence. Plus, routines are universal. Everyone wakes up, gets ready, and starts their day no matter where they live.
That's right. And by focusing on these relatable scenarios, students can immediately use what they learn. We'll break down vocabulary, grammar, and even pronunciation tips as we go.
To show how these expressions work, let's listen to a short conversation between two roommates, Emma and Jake, as they start their morning. Why do dialogues help learners, Sarah?
Dialogues provide context, which is key for language learning. Instead of isolated words, students hear phrases in action like, "What time is it?" or "I'm making breakfast." This context makes it easier to remember and use new language.
Absolutely. Research by the British Council shows learners who practice with dialogues recall 30% more vocabulary than those who only memorize lists. Let's explore how Emma and Jake use simple, clear English to communicate.
And as we break down their conversation, we'll highlight not just the words, but the natural rhythm and tone of everyday English.
Let's unpack some key verbs from the dialogue, starting with wake up and get up. Many learners confuse these. Sarah, can you clarify the difference?
Definitely. Wake up means you stop sleeping, while get up means you actually leave the bed. Think of wake up as opening your eyes and get up as standing on your feet. This distinction is often tricky for beginners.
That's a helpful analogy. Another crucial verb is brush your teeth. It's a fixed expression, not just brush teeth. Why is it important to learn verbs in chunks like this?
Because English often uses set phrases or collocations. Learning brush your teeth as a whole chunk makes speaking smoother and helps avoid mistakes.
The dialogue also mixes tenses. I have a meeting and I'm working from home today. Sarah, how do beginners know when to use present simple versus present continuous?
Great question. Present simple like I go to work describes habits or routines. Present continuous is I'm working from home describes actions happening now or just today. A good analogy, present simple is your calendar. Present continuous is your live webcam.
Nice. Using these tenses correctly helps learners sound more natural when sharing their daily plans.
And practicing with real-life examples, like in our Emma and Jake scene, makes it click.
Let's shift to social language. Emma asks, "Do you want some eggs?" And Jake replies, "Yes, please." Why are polite requests and offers essential for beginners, Sarah?
Because politeness is embedded in English culture. Using please, thank you, or would you like can change the tone of a conversation. For example, saying, "Make me eggs" sounds rude compared to, "Could you make me some eggs, please?"
That's a great point. Studies show learners who use polite forms are rated as more fluent, even if their grammar isn't perfect.
Exactly. Practicing these softeners builds social confidence and helps learners integrate into English-speaking environments.
The morning routine dialogue included a joke about singing in the bathroom. Why does adding humor and personality matter for beginners?
Humor makes language memorable. When Jake jokes, "My singing is beautiful," it creates a playful tone. This helps learners remember phrases and understand that English isn't just about rule sets, about real human interaction.
Right? Plus, laughter reduces stress, making it easier to absorb new vocabulary. Even simple jokes help bridge cultural gaps.
And by practicing with lighthearted exchanges, students gain confidence to speak up in real-life conversations.
Let's broaden the discussion. How do morning routines differ around the world? And what can learners gain by comparing routines?
Great angle, Alex. In Japan, for instance, breakfast might be rice and fish, while in the US, it's often cereal or eggs. Discussing these differences in English allows learners to share their own habits and practice new vocabulary.
Absolutely. It also reinforces cultural awareness. For example, in Spain, people might start their day later, so wake-up times differ. Discussing routines fosters both language and cross-cultural understanding. Let's talk practice. We encourage listeners to repeat simple sentences like, I wake up at 7, but what techniques can help beginners turn repetition into real conversation skills?
One method is shadowing listening to a native speaker and repeating immediately. Another is personalization. Learners should adapt phrases to their lives, like I brush my teeth at 6:30. This makes practice more meaningful.
That's right. And recording yourself or practicing with a partner can also boost confidence.
Exactly. The more you speak, the easier it becomes to recall words and use them naturally.
Even with practice, mistakes happen like mixing up wake up and get up or forgetting to use at with time. What are some strategies to correct these errors?
First, awareness is key. Keep a notebook of common mistakes and review it. Second, use apps or language partners who can give gentle corrections. For example, instead of I go work, remember to say I go to work.
Great tips, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Studies show learners who speak up, even with errors, improve faster than those who stay silent.
Absolutely. Embrace mistakes as part of the learning journey. They're signs of progress.
Let's wrap up by connecting morning routines with language learning habits. How can listeners use daily routines to build their English skills over time?
Consistency is powerful. Just like brushing your teeth, practicing English every morning even for 5 minutes leads to big improvements over months. Set small goals like listening to one dialogue or repeating 5 sentences daily.
And remember, progress is cumulative. Each practice session adds up, and soon, speaking English becomes as automatic as your morning coffee.
Exactly. So, make English part of your morning routine and watch your confidence and vocabulary grow.